Hey y'all, Chris from In a Nutshell here. In honor of the upcoming release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we're going to take a bit of time today to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, as many of you probably do, when a new game comes out that I am really looking forward to, the only way that I can celebrate this success is by going back and playing the immediate games before that release. Now, I was about 10 years late to the party when it came to Final Fantasy VII, the original, and it was phenomenal. It was a mammoth of a 3-discer, and I'm sure I'm not the only person that was truly captivated in the world that was created for us. And it's not often that this kind of journey comes around twice, nor 3 times. And by the time we're done, it'll probably be a 4th. So I'm excited for the upcoming release. I'm excited to experience the journey that's being created for all of us. And whether you loved Remake or hated it, whether you're going to love Rebirth or you're going to hate it, I don't think any one of us can look upon what's been delivered to us and what is coming to us and can say that it's not, simply put, a labor of love. Now, I also want to ask for your forgiveness in advance. This is the first time that we're doing a bit of a free-form video. There's no script here. I haven't got anything in mind. I've just simply hit record and I'm going to talk. I feel like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is something that warrants that. And in a weird way, I feel like if I'm not pre-thinking or if I'm not limiting myself in my approach and what I'm going to say, then it's going to be 120% authentic. And that's what I want to deliver to you. So with all that said, let's get into it. So what was it that made Final Fantasy VII such a megalodon of a game? Was it Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, perhaps even Barret? Was it the Mako reactors and what they were doing to the planet? Was it the fantastic score provided to us by Nobu Uematsu? Or was it simply just because? Well, I think it's all of the above. Obviously the story, the plot twist, the synergy, all the stuff that you've lived and you've loved since, 97, 98. Whatever your answer is, the response is yes, 1,000,000 times yes. For me, it was the music, it was the atmosphere. I was attracted to the scores and the tones just as much as I was attracted to Cloud's dry wit. And honestly, I really appreciated the fact that they didn't just remaster the tracks in the part 1 portion, but they also added popular tracks that come in later on down the line. And while we're on this topic, I gotta say, my favorite moment in the whole game is right at the end when our heroes decide that they're gonna continue their journey, and the first drop of rain falls on the ground, and the song Hollow starts to play. Now, I think this is an amazing song, but the way that they use this song to tell the story that it does, I was not prepared for. I was not ready for the journey to end, but then when that song hits, and then it pans up to the sky and it says our journey will continue, or whatever that screen says, it just left me like, no, it cannot end right now, not at this point. It was a mastercraft at work. Now, speaking of mastercraft, the comparison shots between the original and the remake, I have to talk about this. These are the money shots. These are the shots that the developers knew exactly what they're doing. I love seeing the comparisons between how the technology has moved and how the story has changed, but when they litter these shots in the game, like Cloud looking up at the reactor or the whole intro sequence, you know that these are more than just little Easter eggs. This is a time machine that allows us to step back into a simpler time, but also brings us back to a significant point in our lives, which I think that in itself is beautiful. Now, I think my next point is probably going to be true to both of those things, to the significant increase in technology, but also to the nostalgia or taking us back to the moment, right? So my question is, what's the opposite of a skybox? A ground box? The ground box in the game is noticeably bagged. This always makes me laugh. And I know that it's a throwback, but I still find it so funny. When going across the plates, Tifa also says, "Don't look down." Is this because she knows how the ground box looks? Tifa's quite aware of what's going on. Now, I don't make it too much of a habit to go out of my way to play games on hard mode, but I did decide to take the plunge and play hard mode in the remake, just for a little bit of fun. And boy, I was not prepared. Everything was fine and smooth until I hit the first boss, and I think he pretty much like 3-shot me. I actually had to Google why my items weren't working. Well, that teaches me for not reading. For all those not aware, playing Final Fantasy on hard mode means you do not have access to use your items. So when you're fighting your bosses, you better be stepping carefully, because one misstep and it can all be over. I think the first time I got the game over screen, I sat there and contemplated my life for a good 5 minutes and all the decisions I've made that brought me here. Because I wasn't sure, as someone who doesn't usually partake in this kind of punishment, whether I was ready to complete the journey. Now, there are a few things in the game that do put me off on my playthroughs. I dislike the bike minigames. I don't hate them. I heavily dislike being locked into the slow walks, where the camera focuses you on a particular spot and it doesn't want you to move. But still, I didn't hate it. I hated the ladders and the crane hands. Helping Aerith platform from one place to the next was so frustrating. Once you complete the game, you are rewarded with a skip that lets you bypass the bike minigames. I would give that up in a second. Just let me bypass the platforming sections with Aerith. Now, one thing about the original game that really irked me was the relationship between Cloud and Barret. More so on Barret's side. The way he treats Cloud for a good portion of the game, it just really bothered me. As the game progresses, there's more camaraderie between them. They become more akin to brothers in arms. And this is something that I feel the remake captures really well. There is a showcase here of the mission that Barret is on, and how this mission causes him to deeply distrust Cloud, and Cloud really couldn't care. This works well to both of their benefits. However, as the story unfolds and there's hardships and people are in danger and people need to be saved, the bond between Cloud and Barret strengthens. And it's not just the big set piece moments where you really notice it, but it's even in the quiet corridor moments where Barret will turn around and say something like, "Wedge really likes you, he's just got a hard time sharing his feelings." And Cloud will respond in the most Cloud way and say, "That makes two of us." Not actually commenting on the fact that Wedge likes him, but more so commenting on the fact that he also has a hard time sharing his feelings. Now look, I think I've rambled quite enough. We've spoken about my learnings replaying the remake. I've made it clear that I'm excited for Rebirth. I can't wait to see what happens. Does anybody else feel like the third game is going to be called Reunion? I just feel like that's been thrown in our face quite a lot. I don't know what's going to happen in Rebirth. Whatever happens, I feel like it's going to be a crazy ride. Lots of summons, lots of limit breaks, lots of tears. Sephiroth is going to be going crazy. New characters to have in the party and explore with. New music to bless our ears. There's just so much to look forward to. Look, with all that being said, I thank you for listening to my thoughts. I hope that this release will be a smooth one, and it'll be everything that you wish it to be. And remember to take breaks, stay hydrated, go and explore, and look out for my review of Final Fantasy Rebirth. Until then, may your light shine ever bright.